Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 57th lesson of A Course in Miracles. And y'all, I am so very elated. I'm just tickled to death, tickled to life to have today's guest on. So let me read today's Course in Miracle lesson. It reads, "My mind is part of God's. I am very holy." And the lesson states, "As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I began to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I began to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. I began to understand the holiness of all things, including myself, and their oneness with me. And today, everyone, I am honored to welcome someone who understands the holiness of all things. After a near-death experience from a mountain bike accident, Tyler Deal was propelled into the inner world of self-healing, where he developed the ability to examine deep-seated trauma at the molecular level. This self-healing has given him inner gifts that have allowed him to make a profound connection with all life, particularly the natural world. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you all to my good friend, Tyler Deal. Tyler, welcome to the sharing group.
Yay, Loretta. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Thank
Yes,
you for inviting me.
yes, I'm so thrilled to have you on. So I know we have pack a lot in a short amount of time. So I'm gonna let you just go away with it and tell us a little bit about your background, and then leading up to your near-death experience, and then talk about the NDE, and we'll conversate from there.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, feel free to interrupt me and I'll do the best I can. It's very interesting for me because since I've been telling my story, my NDE story, um, it's like going back to the past and in a way revisiting it and having new memories come up. So I guess like that's a good thing in a way to see that, you know, were areas there in my life that I hadn't previously really looked at or had known. But I'm not somebody to think about past too much. I try to
Mhm.
be present and I try to move forward in my life. But
How
but
is that for you? Is it like re-bringing up old stuff, and like therefore almost like re-experiencing it in your body? Uh is it therapeutic? How is that for you?
I don't think so much that. I think it's more viewing a part of me that I'm familiar with, like I know, but it's so disconnected from who I feel like I am now in a way. So it's like, kind of looking like, oh yeah, that's who I was. But yeah, so I can tell you, um I grew up in a middle class family in America and starting in California for the first 4 years of my life. And I was like many kids, very open to the world and very connected and in tune with even with nature, like many kids are. And I had a favorite oak tree that I would swing a tire swing on, and I lived on a small little fruit orchard with my mom, my dad, and my sister. And so I our dad moved his business up to Washington State after 4 years old. And so that was a little jarring for me. As a kid, you're not really informed on the decisions of the family, they just kind of happen, right? And so that I think that was basically just kind of really jarring to me, and I felt disassociated because I was so connected to the land at that time. And um, so once we made that move, it felt like life got a little bit more difficult as a child, and I had to, in a way, I felt like I was on my own trying to wonder why these things were happening, whether that was, verbal abuse or, teachers saying that I wasn't smart enough in school and that I couldn't go to the next grade or, whatever that was. I had to really just kind of go through life and try to figure it out like so many of us do on our own, without the tools to know how to navigate and to continue to be happy as children really want to do. So when I was a teenager, I got into a lot of drugs, smoked cigarettes. Um, I guess, that was part of my path at that time. But simultaneously, I started to uh, want to reconnect to that spirituality. It's kind of a funny contrast, somebody that's, getting high on the weekends, a kid, and then wanting to at the same time reconnect. And I found that it helped, not the drugs, but it helped to actually reconnect with nature. And I discovered a book at that time. It's called Animal Speak, guy by Ted Andrews, Native American, who talked about how the animals, what their messages are. And so that really hit me hard. And that that gave me a kind of a launching pad to rediscover or to rediscover this lost connection that I had felt early on with planet, with Mother Earth, and with all of her beautiful beings. So that was a launching point, and then I guess it was a spiritual initiation when I was 18. I was in my last year of high school, and from a woman who became my spiritual teacher, and that was at that point I began to just kind of move the substances to the side and began to go through some internal stuff. I mean, I was already kind of depressed when I was most of my teenage years and later in my childhood, but it actually began to bring up some stuff that I didn't know was there within me. And when I say stuff, I mean, emotions, thoughts, experiences. Um, and so by the time I went to college, I went back to Northern California to go to college. That stuff was just really being brought up. And I see now that it was a blessing. And back then, I just saw it as part of me that was really depressed. And I didn't understand why. It got to the point as where I didn't want to be on the planet. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I wasn't good enough. There's so many people that feel that they're not good enough, and I guess that became kind of just that just kind of saturated every part of me, was this feeling of I wasn't good enough no matter what I did, no matter how much I tried, um, no matter how much I put myself out there to, be a good person, be a good friend, be a good student, whatever it was. So again, nature became my sanctuary, my therapy, and talking to the trees. When I was in college, there was beautiful forest there, of second growth redwood trees, and I wasn't too many miles away as well from the old growth redwood trees, so I would go there as well. But mostly it was the second growth, which are very tall. And so I began to talk to them and have them, have a conversation with them as well, asking for their help. Um, and it was sometimes I would go for a walk, but mostly it was a mountain bike. I got a mountain bike and I was really happy, and I would, I'd bike all over town and go up the hill and go into the forest, and that was my joy. Go to the beach as well, and so all the little elements were really helping me. However, I was still very this depression felt like it was, there's something below it. There's always something below our emotions. whether that be a pattern or an experience or a trauma. But I didn't really know that at the time. I was 19, 20 years old. And so this accumulation, like I had said, brought me to the point of I just wanted to leave the planet. And this is kind of how my NDE, just the months before my NDE began. And so, yeah, so this not wanting to be here, not feeling like I was good enough, not understanding, the beautiful being that I am, the beautiful person that I am, just not seeing that at all. There was just these blinders. There was no way that I could see that at this time. So I thought about killing myself, but it wasn't, you know, simultaneously I would think about, oh man, that would hurt. Like, who would want to do that? So I was thinking that at the same time, but I just knew I didn't want to be here. And that became my prayer, even though I was in the woods and talking to the trees and making that connection. I also simultaneously was saying to the divine, please take me. I don't want to be here anymore. So then that's when my NDE happened. Do you want me to go into that, or did you want to talk about anything I've
Um,
said so far?
I hearing your story about, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about when you were moved. And I mentioned this to you before, from California, had how you had developed a relationship with nature. And when you were moved, how your parents moved you, you were 4 years old. They they didn't talk to you about it. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we assume sometimes as adults that children are just children. You just go along, you just go with the flow. And but how it may not have dawned on them, to let me explain to Tyler that we've made this decision, and maybe even giving you an opportunity to say goodbye to your friends. I mean, you were close to nature, but because most people are disconnected from nature, I don't think they could have had an appreciation for that. And I just wonder if that loss, maybe contributed to the depression.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate perception, Loretta. Absolutely. And I don't blame my parents, because I think most parents in general think they're doing what is best for their kids,
Yes.
and they believe that in their heart that they're doing, um, what is best for their children. But yes, I think that's pretty accurate. Like, I had this connection, and then it was taken away from me, and I didn't know how to reconnect. So I was also taken to, we moved to a beautiful place. Washington State is a very beautiful place. I mean, it has mountains and forests and lots of water. Um, but I didn't have, I didn't know how to make that connection again. I mean, it took me a while. I began, like I had said, when I was a little bit older, I began to open my eyes. But yeah, when you're a kid, you I don't know, like I guess there's an opinion, being able to converse with the kid just as they're just the little people, right? I mean, maybe we, as adults, we might assume that we don't, that they don't know best. I think that's going to change in the near future. I think we're
Yes.
going to see that kids have a lot to teach us. If
Yes.
I think a lot of parents already know that, and they listen to their kids. But with an older tradition and an older way of viewing life, um, that's a part that we just need to bring compassion towards to our parents, right? Being able to see, even as adults, kids don't really think about compassion; they just do it, right? So, um, yeah. So that just goes back to, no matter what's happening, I think that parents do what they believe is best for their children. And
Absolutely.
so,
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. So yeah, you can, that just struck me, but go ahead and proceed.
What part?
Oh, I guess so now you've moved and I think you're a young adult. Have you started college yet?
Yeah, so I was ending my second year of college when this accident happened. So the first year of college was a little bit more partying, even though I was moving away from that. Um, it was getting to know people. I was having fun. Basically, this was still kind of brewing in the background. This feeling, this depression was still brewing in the background. I met a young woman. We had a relationship, and then at some point, I don't know what happened. It was the beginning of my second year. It was like everything began to go downhill. And I think it was just at that point the accumulation of not being able to really look at any of the things that were really going on below the depression. So that's when I felt like, this not good enough feeling had accelerated. I was doing fairly well in college, but I felt like, my professors didn't really like me except one. Um, my friends, I didn't feel like they were really understood who I was. I ended up breaking it off with this person, my girlfriend at the time. And I didn't know why I did that, but I just did that. I do know why now, just because I didn't feel good enough about myself or feel like I was really deserving of being in a relationship. And so yeah, so I don't want to be here anymore had accelerated at the end of my second year. It was May. I just finished my second year and I didn't know what to do. It was summertime. I didn't know whether to look for a job. I was just kind of scattered and depressed. And then that day, the after I like made my final declaration, take me, I don't want to be here. I mean, I'm kind of laughing now. You have to in a way, just because um, the laughter comes from that having that love for yourself at the time. So I went into the forest just like any other day on my bike, biking around. And it was, I don't know, maybe a few hours or so. It was late morning. And then I started to go back to town to do more of nothing. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. But I was very, very depressed, I remember on that day. And I hit a jump. It was the last jump of a series of jumps down a hill. And I knew when I hit that jump that I was gonna die or be injured really bad or something because somebody had built the jump up a lot um, in the last few days since I had taken it. So I was, my muscle memory wasn't used to this new jump. I didn't have a helmet on, which um, probably would have helped. However, I didn't break any bones, but I hit this jump and I went flying maybe 15 feet or so. I don't remember. I just remember hitting it and being like, oh, I'm gone. And then coming down and then just losing consciousness for a few moments. And then the next thing I remember, I was above the redwood trees or just above and around them. And when I say me, I don't mean such as I was still in a different body. That's not how I perceived it. I just perceived it as awareness, basically, like just my awareness was there. And there was this complete peace and just this amazing stillness, kind of relax into that. And there was also this simultaneous experience of my senses being very, very heightened in that space. So I could see colors that I didn't quite recognize before. I could see the detail of the dew on the morning dew or the little specks of water on the needles of the redwood trees. So I kind of had this micro vision, I guess, but I could also like zoom in and out. And this was happening. It wasn't like I was trying to make it happen. It was just happening. I could hear the ocean, which was uh, I'm going to say about 5 miles away, and I could zoom in and see the water, and then like zoom back into where I was. I could hear, I could hear birds and dogs, like they were way like a blue jay that was way far away in the forest. But at the same time, it felt like they were right there with me. So this experience of nature was this, I guess you could say, like oneness, or this feeling of this complete connection with the natural world at the time, and this feeling of that everything was okay. And and then so I was just kind of viewing around, and I remember looking down and seeing my body there, laying on the ground, kind of wrapped up like a pretzel, and just kind of knowing that that part of me wasn't really who I was here, just felt so much more natural and so much more free. And when I had that sensation of just total complete knowing of who I was, there was like a question that was presented. And I believe it was me that presented that question, was, do you want to go further or do you want to go back? And then I said I didn't want to die. And that's when I was basically slammed back into my body. And I was just kind of grunting and groaning. I've heard that when you come back into your body so fast, there's a rush of blood that moves through. And so, what I believe had happened is that rush of blood just made me aware of the pain that was going on. So, the first thing was being aware of the pain. My eyes were still kind of closed, and feeling like just like little sparks or electrical pain moving through my nerves and then out through my muscles twitching. It's what I had learned is called the pain cycle, which I had learned later on. So the nerve damage had caused this pain to move through my body, and I could feel it. I hit my head pretty hard, so I could feel it from my head all the way down to the nerves that went down to my feet. And so, and then I was trying to breathe, like my breath had been knocked out of me, or my breath. So I was breathing, and then I began to open my eyes to see, like, well, where am I, type of thing. And my vision was blurry. It was almost like there was a film there. It was kind of blurry, but I could still see, like, I guess you could say, your third eye vision or your inner vision. So I could see physically, but I could also see here. And it was mostly what I could say, mostly, even though my vision was blurry, I could see fairies, and I could see them flying around me, and uh, going up and down, flying around the trees. And I knew once I saw those trees, oh yeah, okay, so I crashed. It kind of came, I crashed, and from the mountain bike. And so they were bringing lightness to the situation. It was almost like kind of feeling, And I mean, I didn't feel the joy. I could feel their joy, but I wasn't feeling the joy that I wish I had. But it was a confirmation of bringing an energy of lightness and joy to difficult situations, which actually later became my path, is being able to help bring that lightness to the trauma and difficult situations. And then I began to hear the tree sing. And I say sing, I explain it as a Tibetan singing bowl, because there's like this ringing and just some, but it's not even like that. It's beyond words, really. And I get emotional every time, because there's just such amazing beings. And I could feel their energy coming down and just moving throughout all the cells of my body. It's like it was a sound and it was a feeling. And so I had help. I mean, maybe it wasn't angelic help, but they are in a way angelic beings. And so that was kind of like, oh wow. And it I was there, I don't know how long, being in this space. And then I came back to my pain. And it was like I didn't want to be in that pain again. And just that not wanting to be in that pain, I was out. My consciousness was out again. So yeah, and then I woke up and I was in the hospital, and so I don't know how far you want me to go from there, or we can just that was the gist of my NDE though.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Tyler. What an incredible story. What an incredible story. I love your connection with nature. Um, and I when I first heard your story, I thought about the heaviness of that, your body being injured and you having this great fall and seeing the fairies. I didn't know if the contrast of, them giggling and playing and then the heaviness of you being injured, if that was a little bit mocking to you. But I think you answered that question. You said it brought a lightness, that you appreciated in that moment. And just to hear that the trees, started singing to you, it just an incredible experience, an incredible experience. And it's my understanding that you don't even remember how you got to the hospital, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I don't have any memory of how I got to the hospital, and I had tried to figure that out and do some research later on, like because you want to thank the person who found you,
Mhm.
or who had found. I wanted to thank the person who found me, and so they didn't have any record of that. So I don't know. It could have been. It could. It was basically divine will coming in, and when I had made that decision that I don't want to die, it was the part of me that knew that I still had to be here on the planet. Um, so there was help, I mean, we don't know, it's beyond the mind to really know how things work out in this world. We think we can do research on it and try to figure it out, but it's really beyond our understanding. Um, when I say that, I mean beyond mind or beyond words, how things can work out. So they didn't know, the hospital, they didn't know. When I had tried to figure it out later on, and I called them and told me I was a charity case, not to worry about any bills or anything like that. And so there was another blessing there. Um, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And that's a miracle that you didn't get charged. I mean, I love that. I love that's a miracle in and of itself, that that you didn't have to worry about the bills and that kind of thing. I have heard you talk, I've heard you say, Tyler, you talk about having a whole body depression. Can you describe what you mean by that? By having a whole, feeling it in your entire body.
Yeah, and I don't know what other people, how they feel it. It's, I think depression in general is a heavy energy.
Mhm.
It's a part of us that needs to be, it's basically anything that we don't like is a part of us that needs to be, have
Mhm.
love brought to it. But it's like, trying to explain that. It's like starting in your stomach and then moving into, it's like start in my stomach and then move into my heart, and then being able to like look at my hands or look at my feet and just feeling it there, or looking in the mirror, feeling it in my face, just feeling, and our demeanor also can project that as well. Like you know, you can sense when somebody is in that space. I'm not just talking to me. I think just humans in general can sense when other people are in that depressed state because you feel it. So so that feeling was like all parts of me. It's almost like your body systems, your organs. This is, I keep saying it's really my experience, but feels this heaviness. So that's the whole body experience. Yeah.
Do you think that were you surprised, Tyler, at your response to the question that you say you asked yourself, did you want to move on or did you want to go back? Were you surprised that you said, I don't want to die?
So when I was there, when I was in that space, I wasn't surprised because I felt like I knew what was right when that question was presented. But when I came back into my body and then the weeks and the months to follow that, going through what I had to go through, yeah, that was like, why the heck did I decide to to make that decision? And I didn't know, I mean, that's a process. It's been a process trying to discover why, and then understanding that, that I've had work to do on myself and um, servitude, being able to help others in the best way I know how to do that. So so and now it's like, oh yeah, okay, well, being able to be in that space of joy and to help others and to to not be afraid to be me and to fully believe in myself and all those good things. So
So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sorry, keep going.
no, that's it.
I was gonna say, tell us about your journey, because your journey is what makes you incredible. It's what makes us all incredible. That journey from going to the bottom, from basically experiencing hell, healing ourselves, picking ourselves up, and the incredible knowledge that you learned about not only healing your own body but learning how to heal others energetically. Tell us a little bit about your process.
A little bit.
So
Yeah,
you
I'll
had
try
this
to.
incredible experience. You had this incredible experience, right? So
Yeah.
you've experienced this beautiful. Oh, they all you all guys always talk about this beautiful peace and love, and then now you're back in your body, and not only is the feelings of depression returned, but now you have to deal with you know feeling a physical pain, right, inside your body. Tell us some of the things that you learned uh in not only appreciating yourself and wanting to live, but also how you can be of service to others.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciating myself has taken years, and initially it was, I just wanted to feel body better in my body and heal this pain, but little did I know that everything else was connected to that, trauma, emotions, and all of those things that we don't want to look at. So just just having that decision to want to heal my body and finding the right people that could help me on that journey, um, brought up all the other stuff that I wasn't looking at as well. Um, so I found, this is a few months after I moved back up with my parents. I had been given a recommendation as somebody that I was told that could help with me with my nervous system pain. I mean, I saw a few neurologists, but they really couldn't help me. And so I decided to take an alternative route, and I was always into alternative therapies. So so I found this man. He was a network chiropractor, um, very talented. I believe he's still practicing today, even. And he began to help me with my nervous system and my own body's healing. So that was the idea is to, and he showed me this, is the idea is to be able to assist, or it's like supply the fertilizer, supply the energy to be able for the individual to be able to make that leap in their own healing. So I would say within 6 to 9 months, the pain was gone in my body. Even the scoliosis that I had before as a kid had dramatically decreased. My nerves were, um, my nerves, the nerve firing at the end of the nerve cells was healed. And so he helped supply that frequency. He was one person. That was also another person that helped me as well. And um, so so then I had to do the work, right? And because of that, all the other stuff was brought up, the emotions, whatever trauma that I had gone through in the past, in this lifetime, possibly even other lifetimes, but I don't know. But I became more curious about the physical body in that process. And I began to study the physical body and its connection to energy, its connection to how it works as a full body system, the nervous system, the endocrine system, how the chemicals are released. And I can't remember the name of the book. I had the book in massage school. I'm gonna have to look it up, but it was a very detailed book of the body, very colored drawings and everything like that. So anyway, so I became curious about the body and how the body actually begins to repair itself and heal itself. And and during this, I'll just kind of go back a little bit. So during this process of working with this gentleman, this healer, this network chiropractor, I began to see, like my inner vision began to see the repairing going on. So I began to witness, light coming into my nervous system. And I saw that I was actually helping to direct where this light goes. And I was helping to this frequency or energy of what we call love. I was helping to direct it into these areas of my body at a very detailed level. And I would see that this love would actually balance out this area of my body and as the light was coming in. So as we move through emotions, as we move through all of these feelings, as we heal our body, that gives space and room for more light to come in. So I didn't really understand all of that process, but I was curious, and I saw that, oh yeah, I can heal myself. Um, and having the assistance from others who have gone through a lot, like I know this gentleman, he had gone through a lot probably as in his life, and he had moved through the other side. So having that assistance was tremendous amount of help to me. And then I wanted to go to, I mean, I have so much, experience. Like I went to acting school, I went to Australia and did all these things, but I was always curious about the body. So I went to massage school. I learned my first teacher was a Lomi Lomi Lapa'au. Lapa'au. She was a healer, a Hawaiian woman here in Hawaii. And this was back in the year 2000. So that was about 3 years after my near-death experience. And then I ended up taking a longer program at a place called Heartwood Institute, Northern California, where I had learned more about anatomy and pathology and various modalities. So this process of my healing and my journey was one of really helping myself. And in doing that, it seemed as if I could, not like it was me, but source or whatever was moving through me, because there was more light moving through me, was able to help other people. And as I started giving more body work, people started coming back. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing," this and that, and that just that kind of so I had also learned at the same time back in the year 2000, I had learned doing quantum healing work. And this woman, Jo Dunning, who had taught me this, she was basically the pioneer in teaching this. And so I took the very first class she ever did. She actually came here to Hawaii to teach it. And it was an amazing experience. And so I would kind of experiment with family and friends, and and that was a great experience. And then I kind of just set that to the side in a sense, as I learned more of the body work, as I continued with my own practice and developed different modalities. or learn different modalities and practice them. And then just, I would say it just organically started to occur where I could work with people remotely and being able to see, what's going on with them and having that, whatever they're ready to look at type thing. That's where you go. It's like that. You have to meet somebody at that level where whatever they're ready to move from. You don't want to go too far too fast because that can be too much for the nervous system. And so yeah, so that's kind of where I am today is because I've gone through the things I've gone through. I tend to bring people into my life that have gone through similar circumstances, or it's usually that the people that come into my life are the ones that have had or have that belief system that they're not good enough, because that's what I believed, or they don't fully believe in who they are because that's what I had believed, or they had traumas, family traumas or whatever traumas, relationship traumas, whatever had, war traumas, even people that I've worked with that have had or have PSTD or that have gone into those kind of situations. So that seems to mirror back to me as like, oh, those people see me as somebody that might be able to help them. And I mean, I don't look at myself as anything. I mean, I know I'm a wonderful person, just like everyone else is, but I don't see it like I've got this amazing gift and I can, do this huge frequency thing to make you shift. And I don't see it like that. I see it as my heart to yours and being authentic. And, but I still have that, inner vision. I still have that empathy that I use as a gift to help people.
That's
I know
beautiful.
that's a lot.
That is, it's fascinating. It's fascinating and it's beautiful. I have so many questions. So a lot of times, Tyler, in a spiritual community, we talk about we are not our bodies, right? We talk about we're not we're not our bodies, period. That's the period at the end of that sentence. But I have heard you talk about the incredible marriage of the soul and the body and how you have to, I guess, in lack of a better word, contend with how the body is expressing itself in order to get to those deep-seated emotions and energies and blockages and things that causes us pain and injury, that it's a doorway. Can you talk a little, because I think it's important for people to understand how to listen to the body, as a way to kind of, figure out, what we're conditioned. If we have a headache or we have issues, we are just conditioned to take a pill or, fix it some kind of way, as opposed to figuring out, okay, this came from somewhere. And like you, I understand that even like cancer or, other issues, sometimes we decided to come into these lifetimes with them, but a lot of times we have miscreated them, right? I was taught by Dolores Cannon, and she talked about how illness, they actually called a catalog. Her daughter had a book that catalogs every illness and the energy that helped create that illness over time. And I know that cancer is like associated with anger, suppressed anger. So, I would love for you to talk about, your, the impression of the body and how it tells us more than what we already know.
Yeah. So I again, I'm not an expert. I think Dolores Cannon probably had, or you said her daughter
Yeah,
Yeah.
her first name. Julia Cannon has a book, and I don't remember the name. I know people are gonna be like yelling it at the screen, but she has a book that catalogs each illness and the energy. Say if I'm jealous or if I'm angry at my mother, or if I don't put myself first, consistently, if we push those feelings and emotions down and ignore them, they do not go away. They stick around, and over time they become issues. So in that way, I know the body becomes almost like a communication device to let us know, there's something you've been ignoring that you need to acknowledge. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity. I think I've heard you talk about, how we have to respect our bodies and not just ignore them, and not just assume that, okay, we have an emotion, separate from that emotion, and basically ignore it. But I think you had another philosophy about, acknowledging the body.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the body's incredible, whether or not we're not our body or not. I mean, obviously, I don't say obviously, I mean, I say that lightly, that, we have a soul and we come into these bodies, so it makes sense in a way that we aren't these bodies. However, everything that we are, what I believe is that, as we're growing up, our beliefs, the things we're being told, all the emotions we're holding on to, everything, in a way that kind of forms the body. So it's like the subconscious, or those parts of us that are undealt with, forms actually the shape of the body. So, people that might gain a lot of weight they might have issues in certain areas of their life. Um, um, so it's I don't, the ancient Hawaiians had a better way of doing this. They would actually map out the body. But yeah, I believe the body it's a giant receptor. Like our nervous system, how the nervous system functions is a almost like a, I don't even want to say machine. It's organic, but it's what brings light into our body. So when light comes into our body, or light activates within our body, all the other parts that aren't in alignment with what you would call source or with God, um, that attention is brought there. So whether that be a disease, and you're right, like if there's something, if you have a certain amount of anger and hate and it's not being issued or dealt with, then it's going to go into the body and be formed. And what I see happening, or what I see happening in general, is that a lot of it is not conscious. What we have, people are like, oh, I don't know if I have any traumas. I don't know if I have any issues. Maybe they don't. Maybe people don't have that. But what I see happening is what might be undealt with begins to form in the body as disease, or what I call dead light, or light that doesn't have the flow of God moving through it. And what I see happening is like these little molecules begin to form at the ends of the neurons. And what happens is, that can move into something like, a neurological disorder, or a disease of some sort. I'm not a doctor. This is kind of my esoteric take on it, but the body is our vehicle for moving into higher states of consciousness. And that's why I feel like the true self, the self that knows everything, that person that was, at the tops of the trees, that person that you are, that everybody is, can be expressed through this amazing vehicle that we call our body. And the body like everything else, the body wants love. So this comes back to the perception, the idea that, fully accepting ourselves with all of our flaws, all the things we've gone through, fully accepting our body, if we don't like our butt, if we don't like that we don't have no hair, I mean, all of these things, it's like fully accepting them. And what that does is that full acceptance of our body or any part of ourselves, that brings in what you call like a higher alkaline as opposed to acidic. Just like when you have happier thoughts or you're experiencing more joy in your life, your body becomes more alkaline. And this has been proven in science.
Mm.
So we really are, whether it's we separate ourselves from our body or we say we are our body, we really are we are really the ones who direct our own consciousness and direct our own path to higher states of consciousness just by what we're thinking, what we're eating, and really more importantly is that respect we have for our body, and fully accepting it completely as the way it is. Like, oh man, I don't like this, that my pinky is like 3 times shorter than my thumb or whatever. It's like, that's you. That makes who you are. That's your uniqueness. No matter what, you can't be like anybody else. You're just you. So the body, and I know I'm just talking a lot,
I love it. I love
but
it.
the body really is the secret to the way we direct and grow our own ability to expand our own consciousness, because that's, here we are in these bodies, and we want to have all of these amazing experiences, and our body is just that key to be able to, and there's different ways you can do that, and I think the most important way, like I had explained, is just fully accepting your body the way it is, fully.
Thank you for that. That is so significant. Tyler, that is so significant. I always tell people that the body hears our thoughts and the body hears our speech. So when we say not so flattering things about ourselves, like you said, I'm too fat, or I'm too this, I'm too short, I'm too tall, my hair isn't long enough, the cells of our bodies are absorbing the vibration of that speech, and it has impact. It has impact. We are creative beings. Our thoughts are creative, our speech is creative, and our actions, of course, are creative. And it's a reminder to be mindful and acknowledge what we're saying, whether we speak it out loud or not, what we're saying about our body. So I love that you talked about that. That's important. We don't, and Tyler, you know this, we don't grow up hearing this. This information has been hidden from us. A lot of how we create as creative beings has been hidden from us. So we grow up miscreating, and our parents miscreated. So it's almost like the secrets of the universe that's being revealed now about who we are, how we create, how we can have a happy dream, right?
Yeah.
So no, that's so true.
Yeah. And also when it's the same thing goes when you judge someone else's body, like, oh, they're too fat, they're too skinny. That affects your body in a negative way.
Wow.
So it's like projecting outwards. Oh, that whoever that person is beautiful. That's going to help you. So it's just that simple idea turns it around and helps your body.
Yes, because we are all one. So there are some quick things I'm just gonna run by you. Like, there are some things that I just thought was so fascinating. So of course I've told you, Tyler, I love how connected you are with nature. It's like, oh, I want that. I want that. So you express a very unique relationship with the elements. I've heard you state that the wind is your friend. The
Yeah.
wind is your friend. So tell us how the wind is your friend. I'm interested. How is that? What does the wind tell you?
Well, I mean, first of all, anything that I say about nature it's not new. And I and I say that because I don't want to be like this white guy coming on here and saying I'm connected to nature when indigenous cultures for thousands of years have been speaking about this and we just haven't been listening. So my
Exactly. And so
yeah,
we know that, but you know what, Tyler? I've not heard anybody else talk about it. And that's why it's such a rich conversation to have because we really walk around ignoring nature. So I appreciate you saying that, but we need this. You know,
yeah.
we really need to because hearing you and other interviews talk about this experience, it just opened me up to just to the knowledge of, you know what, you can experience the world in such a completely broadened way. You know what I'm saying? And you make presence attractive to me. It's almost like if you're present enough, if you work enough to be present, these are almost like the gifts that you get. You know, so I appreciate you saying that. But yes, you have plenty to share. We here for it.
Oh, you're so sweet. Yeah, it's true. It's like talking to anything, um, whether you do it silently within yourself. Let's say you go somewhere out in public and you notice somebody's feeling down, you can go up to them and see how they're doing, right? And but you can also do it silently if you feel like their energy, like they don't want to talk, you can say, I love you and talk to their spirit. So we are nature, our bodies are part of nature. And um, so that experience of being connected to nature as simple as just talking to the tree, just talking to the wind. And I just want to say this quote, if you don't mind me. It's from Chief Dan George I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation of British Columbia. He says, if you talk to animals, they will talk with you,
Mm.
and you will know each other. If you do not talk to them, you will not know them. And what you do not know, you will fear. What one fears, one destroys. So this, um, I would talk as a child to the wind, to the trees, to everything that I felt connected to, and it would talk back. And then, after years, and particularly after my near-death experience, I would start to do the same thing. So no, I'm not crazy, but it's a living being. It just looks different than a human body. That's all. And when you start talking to these parts, these trees and the wind, they will start talking back. And
What
that's
do they say, Tyler? What is the
uh,
wind saying?
well,
What does the wind tell? Like, what is your experience of the wind?
so the wind, I guess the Native Americans would say sister wind, but I feel like it is a a female energy, and that's accurate. It's cleansing, and um it cleanses the air. So what does she say? It will depend. If you ask a question, then she will respond. So, for example, I had asked a question about one of my cats that was having some problems. And I was sitting outside and there was no wind. And within seconds, the wind just came rushing by. And the wind said, like change the food. So I changed food for one of my cats. I had also asked a question about, the work I do and the direction I need to go. And wind came by and gave me an answer, like a timeline, or it gave me an answer. So um, my my mom, she's really good at this too. So I when I feel like I want to communicate with the wind, or I feel like there's no wind and it's getting really hot, I'll just start talking to it, and within moments it will come and start blowing and clearing the air. So that's the wind is my friend, because the wind, I talk to the wind and the wind talks back. So it's not just the wind, but it's other parts of nature as well.
It's
And you
fascinating.
can do that. I'm not special. Anybody can do that. It just takes some time,
Yeah.
it's like it's like this trust. It's like, there's no hidden intention. There's a purity of heart, and you just want to make a connection, then um, that connection can be made.
I have heard you say that before the NDE, and thank you for that explanation of that.
Yeah.
For the NDE, you had actually, like a few months before the NDE, you had seen fairies, and that your heart, you were in love at that time, and your heart was open. So, talk about your encounter with the fairies and that heart connection. And how did they look? How does the fairies look? I'm loving this.
So
I've been waiting on this.
I know you are. So I am too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I'm not a fairy researcher. I don't have my PhD in fairyology or anything like that. But I, it's everything's based on my what happened to me. So I know when you're a kid, um, most kids, I can't say all kids, but most kids have their hearts open. At least in the beginning, they have their hearts are open. When your heart is open, um, your inner vision is more open. What you can see and what you can sense, that part of you that's, I guess you could say, the third eye. It's really connected to the pituitary gland, not the pineal, but the pituitary gland. And so when your heart's, that's why, kids that say fairies are very much connected to children, well, it's because their heart's open. Fairies can be connected to adults too. So yes, I was in love. I was laying down and in bed with this person, and she was actually doing homework or asleep, but I was laying down. Yeah, I was laying down in her bed, and we have redwoods all around us. Her home had redwoods around. This is during the same place where I was in college. So my eyes were open or closed, and my heart was really open because I was so in love. And they just started coming in. Like at first, it was like little sparkles of light, and then it was like they took shape. And so they had wings. They did have different colored skin, and they did have, some of them had garments on, some of them were naked. Um, some people could say that's a pixie, not a fairy. I don't know, whatever, So yeah, so they were there, and that's, I think when my NDE, I think I explained this other places as well, as that my heart wasn't open. I was depressed. I was in a
Mhm.
body that just crashed into the earth, but they were still there.
Mhm.
And so you don't have to have your heart open necessarily to make that connection with them.
Fascinating. Fascinating. That is so beautiful. Um, what makes a tree sad? What makes a tree sad?
What makes a tree sad?
Makes a tree sad.
I think humans not paying attention to it.
Okay.
You know, that's one thing. The other thing is um, being cut down when from a place of greed, like money or
Mm-hmm.
or anger. That there's no, I mean, people have been cutting down trees for years, but even again, the indigenous people, they would talk to it and ask permission that they could use this tree for a specific purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the purpose behind it. There was a tree cut down, uh, not under my will, but someone else's on this land. Um, where I'm living right now, a while back, and I just I knew there was no permission. It just was, you know, cut down, and I could feel all the other trees around it just getting really, really sad. So they're so connected, and uh, the purpose behind it. If there's no I don't know. I think that's a good place to start is our connection with nature because we can really begin to know our own intuition and our own purpose on this planet. And if we don't have that connection, we're here, we're on this planet, we're in these bodies, right? So they can get sad when they lose their friends, and they can get sad when um, they can get sad. I've noticed if you just drive by them, or think of a busy freeway in the middle of a forest. It's like all these people driving by that aren't saying hi. So every time I drive by in a situation like that, I'll just imagine like all of this gratitude and this love going to all the trees, thanking them for their purpose, and I can feel that being reflected back at me. I know that's a long, I keep going off on
I
this,
know.
but
I love that. I love that because, like you said, we all have this ability, and we all want it. A part of us chooses to be connected to nature, to animals in this way. And so I just think it's important to create the space to talk about this kind of stuff so that everyone looking at the video can reflect and say, you know what, let me be present and really experience the planet, experience Gaia, touch a tree. um I love I really do love this kind of stuff. So Tyler, would you say that you have, of course, it sounds like your abilities were heightened after your NDE. Can you talk about what abilities that you've noticed that have increased since the NDE? And I know that you were an empath always before the NDE. Is that correct?
yeah, that's correct. So the sensitivity, I think, and and that's I don't know if that's a gift, but sometimes it feels like a burden. But yeah, so that's always been there. But it's actually it's a great strength. The people that were empaths and highly sensitive people were the people that could alert the tribe in the earlier days to when the danger was coming and those kinds of things. So it's an incredible gift. And I know it's not just me. What I see happening in the world is there's an unfolding happening. So more and more people are saying that they're highly sensitive or empathic, and that's because more light is coming into their bodies and they're becoming more sensitive. Gifts are beginning to turn on. So everyone's gifts at some point are going to turn on. But mine have come through. They have come through trauma. They have come through clearing or accepting or bringing love to those parts of me that have gone through a really hard time. They have come in dribbles, so that it has been all at once. I think, and then they'll come and then there'll be a shift. So you move through something, and there's always an opening and always a shift. So I used to get, and I still do actually, got one last night. It's been a couple of years where I get these downloads of frequency, these rushes of light moving through my body where I can't move. It actually paralyzes me. So I'll have to just completely lay down and not do anything. And this one happened last night in the middle of my sleep. So I was aware of it, but so it wasn't so bad. And it was just like this tingling sensation. So this is naturally happening to everybody, is what I see. Inner vision, I've had that since, I would say, since my first kind of spiritual initiation when I was 18. That started to open up, and my healing hands, like those, that kind of turned on once I started doing massage and body work. That it was just like it was always there. It's why my my palms are always so red. And and then just being able to sense other people and sense, what might be going on with them. That's kind of always been there, but it's been heightened, I would say, really in the last like 7, 8 years. And then the gift of I don't know, like just being able to know somebody and help them whatever it is they need to help them with. So I can see that the blockages and I can help assist them, but it's like here's the energy, here's the frequency, you do your own healing. So it's not like I'm some, it's really, and I think we need that in a way. I think a lot of us say, well, I don't need a healer. You don't. You can do everything yourself. And there's so much self-help out there. People can just do anything themselves. But there is going to come a time, if we're not in it already, I don't know, that we are going to need help from other people. We are going to need assistance and help from people that can help us through wherever they are, so just to get to that next space, and then we might find somebody else. We might not need anybody else or whatever. So, I mean, I'm a true believer in expanding our own awareness and our own consciousness and healing ourselves. But at the same time, the people that have helped me, I can see, and I believe what they believe is that having that assistance can be incredibly beneficial for someone.
Yes, I always say all healing is self-healing. And I just would like to take an opportunity to talk about my encounter with Tyler. When I
Uh-oh.
first saw
I'm just
Tyler,
kidding.
when I first saw Tyler's interview, it was just, I just was like, I gotta have this man on the show. So we had a chat when we kind of was trying to figure out if it was a good match, if he was going to be on the show. And I just told like my whole life story, and I'm like in my head, like, why are you doing this? Why are you like just splatting everything on this guy? And so then I decided I wanted to have a session with Tyler, and my intention was about developing my psychic abilities. I'm just like, I'm a session junkie. I love having sessions. So, but after I had a session with Tyler, I understood why I was so drawn to him, because Tyler comes with this presence that you can feel. And when you are talking to him, he listens with his entire body of senses. He's connected to your body, but all the clairs, and he's just getting this information, and the presence that he brings, you feel it. And his sessions are incredible. I paid for the session. I'm not saying this because I got a free session, but after I had a session with Tyler, I felt like everybody should do this, especially if they've dealt with trauma, or just even physical stuff. And I know I'm embarrassing you right now, but
It's okay.
it's incredible. And I do agree that all healing is self-healing, but sometimes you just need, like, when I had a session with Tyler, I'm like, where are these tears coming from? It's so much emotion moved up in me that I just didn't even know was there. And so when people say that healers create the space for you to heal yourself, that is absolutely accurate. And it's just, I just felt like it was a gift to myself. And it's almost like my soul already knew, like, you need this. And I didn't know, like, a lot of times your mind is not on board. It's like, what is this? Why are you so drawn? but my
Mm.
soul knew. My soul knew. And I love it. I love it. He's actually offering a coupon code for everyone who watches this session. I think it's $35 off a session, right?
I believe so, yes.
So I'll have that in the description box, y'all. But now is the time. Now is the time for us to invest in us. Now is the time for us to heal our traumas. What I did love and what I do love about Tyler is sometimes we are so adept at moving on, right? We don't want to camp out on a painful event and we just want to move on. But Tyler gives that space, y'all, to just go deep and allow that hurt to come up so that it can be heard and healed. And you just feel lighter and just more vibrant. And so, Tyler, did you want to have anything to add? Did you want to talk about your sessions? And he's actually telling y'all as you have the session, right? And whether it's trauma or physical stuff or whatever, he actually sees like the nerve endings and he's seeing what's going on in the body, which is incredible. But go ahead.
Thank you. I mean, that's such a sweet testimonial. I mean, thank you. I get into a different space. I mean, I do and I don't. Like I feel like it's just a natural part, being able to talk with somebody and connect my heart to theirs. And so because we are in a way we are really all one, it's like, whatever I'm feeling when I'm talking to somebody, then you know that's why there's a connection there. That's why that person was brought into my life because I'm feeling that what they're feeling, and I try to help them with whatever. I don't know sometimes what the impact is. Like it sounds like with you, it was a big impact, which I think is fantastic. It was you could feel that and feel that's what was going on. Um, a lot of people don't tell me, so and that's okay too. So I don't I don't really. I'm just here, and if people feel that, that's great. If they don't, that's fine too. So
Real quick, Tyler, talk real quick if you can about if someone doesn't necessarily want to go to a healer, they maybe have arthritis or, knee pain or whatever. Can you talk about a quick method by maybe using meditation that they can start to heal themselves and go through that process?
you're talking about physical
Yeah,
or just any?
phys-
Okay, so yeah, absolutely, and I do this a lot too. Is so there's a couple things you can do. I think the most powerful thing you can do is, and I know this might sound very simple and like, oh, that's just almost too simple. But the simplest things are sometimes the most powerful. So this knee pain, okay, so you have to understand that there's a part of our body that's going through pain or discomfort or disease or whatever it is trying to tell us something. And more specifically, it wants our love and our gratitude. And the love comes from a place of like you're imagining it it's as a small child and you're loving it. But the thing that I feel is really beneficial that I was taught many years ago and that I help people with is this idea of appreciation. So you can imagine that the cells that the neurons that the molecules around this knee pain, for example, are working overtime. They're working overtime to help heal this part of your body, whether that could be your liver, whatever part of your body. Let's just say the knee, for example. So they're working overtime. and you can imagine you the um, as the as the boss man or the boss woman
Mhm.
of your body, right? So so these cells, what what actually helps speed up the process, I found, um, is bringing your awareness to the parts, the cells that are working hard.
Mhm.
So you can imagine, I give the scenario as well, that you can imagine that you're in a you you work at you work at Dell or you work at Tesla or something like that, and you're a worker bee and you're working hard. You're the cell, but you're working hard and nobody acknowledges you.
Mhm.
Nobody, you're doing your best. You're working in a factory, whatever it is. Nobody acknowledges you, but you're doing your best. You
Mhm.
can imagine that the boss man or the boss woman comes to you, um, and thanks you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing to provide such a great service for this business. Can you imagine that if every boss or did that for their employees? So you in your body are doing the same thing for that particular part. Let's say your knee, and you're going in there and it can start with an idea of appreciation, but you want to feel that. You
Mhm.
want to feel it like thank you, thank you. You can say it if you want. You can just imagine that you're thanking that part, and you do it, and you keep doing it, and you make it like a practice, and so you're bringing light to the parts that need it the most. If that makes sense, then um, yeah,
That makes total sense. That makes total sense. So basically, love is healing. So just extending that love to your area, to that area that's, in pain. And like I love that analogy as you being the boss of that factory, this
mm,
machine, because that's what the body is, a machine, and acknowledging the work
yeah,
that's
and
being done.
so the love and the appreciation, I just found that, I mean, within love, I find, I get, sometimes I can get specific, but within love, I find joy and I find total gratitude. So it's like love, yeah, love definitely, but also just that, that feeling of total appreciation, like that thank you for that, for what they're doing, for what those cells and those molecules are doing. It's like, thank you. Because they're working hard, right? And now they're going to work harder and make sure everything's okay. So, and again, I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, but this is just using your own awareness to help heal yourself.
That's I love that. That, like you said, so simple yet so impactful. I encourage everyone to try it. Try it. Leave comments under the video. See how that worked for you. I love it. I love it. Okay, so are there any other projects and services, Tyler, that you wanted to highlight to the viewers at this time? I know you do healing work. You actually do distance healing work. Um, are there any other things that you wanted to highlight for the viewers? And you can talk about your website as well.
Yeah, so my website, Radical Heartworks, you can go there. I have a lot of free material on there that you can check out. I try to keep things, that people, can look at for free. Other projects, I have a few projects. There's a couple I'm not quite ready to come out with yet, but I'm gonna be also doing work with animals coming at the beginning of the year. So I'll have and then I'm going to be donating 25% of whatever I make from that to a local shelter here on the Big Island of Hawaii. So I'm starting to work with, I mean, I've been working with animals for years, so I just figured, why not add that as a service as well? So I'm going to start doing that at the beginning of the year, 2023.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know there will be many people that'll want to contact you, Tyler. Are you open to being contacted? And if so, what is your preferred method to be contacted?
Yeah, sure. So that's fine. There's a contact form on my website. You can contact me there. Um, I have an Instagram. You can message me there. You're welcome to leave my email as well that I have in the description. People can contact me there. So whatever way you want to do that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
email and your social media. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll have that, everyone. I'll have it in the bottom of the screen, and then I'll have it also in a description box so that you can know how to contact Tyler. All right. So Tyler, do you have any lasting words? Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we close out? And any lasting words that you wanted to leave for the viewers?
I can't think of any, I mean, just, words of encouragement, I guess, would be as simple as um, just fully believing in yourself and, whatever you're going through, you're going to get through it. And I think there's an amazing um, amount of abundance and love coming for everybody very, very soon. We're just kind of we're basically moving through what doesn't work anymore in this world, and that's falling away, and it's falling away fast. So be patient with yourself, and just some of the things I had mentioned before, Loretta, is that just not just believing in yourself, but having that with your body too. Is like fully accepting that this is your body, and you know I have a funny nose, which I do. It's like that's great. That's what makes me, and that's going to help your whole being. It's just appreciating or at least acknowledging this is the way you are. I don't know if that helps anybody. Yeah, I
No,
just try to.
that's absolutely what people need to hear. Self-acceptance. It's so funny. I just said that to myself this morning. I'm like, you know what? I fall down. I'm sure I'm not making all the right decisions, but you know what? This is me. You know,
Yeah,
this.
beautiful you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
No, that's very important, and I guess for anybody that's suffering from depression, Tyler, you would say what for them to do? Start where?
I would say talk about it. Don't hold it in.
Mhm.
Whether that's seeking professional help, from somebody that or seeking help in your community or your family, somebody that's gone through it. I think it's something I didn't do that I wish I had done,
Mhm.
and it took me a while to figure out that how important that is. I'm not here to say this is the drug you take, this is the type of people you see, but just talk it out, write it out. If you can't talk it out right away, just start writing. Um, I've noticed that people's hands want to write and they don't write enough.
Mhm.
It's really interesting. When I work on people's
Wow.
hands, I can see them sometimes turn into like holding a pen position, like they want to write. It's what they want to express. So that's a good place to start, but also just really talking to somebody because you don't want it to build. Um, yeah, you don't want it to get out of control or that's how you feel all the time.
That's great advice, and very interesting what you said about people really wanting to write. I wonder, Tyler, if that spirit wanting them to do some automatic writing, uh, and allowing that energy to come through them through writing. What do you think about that? That's what came to me when you said that. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That you can
Yeah,
pick up on their this subconscious desire to write.
I think if that's what came through for you, then that's correct. That desire to write. I think you're right on, Loretta. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fascinating. Okay, so I am now going to do closing remarks. Tyler, it is in the depth of experience that we gain wisdom. It is through overcoming challenges that we develop compassion. It is the falling down that allows us to exhibit our courage and get back up. And Tyler, the level of presence, compassion, and wisdom that you exude is absolutely palpable to anyone who encounters you. Words cannot express what you do for the world and just being here. Your decision to be here, your decision to remain here, your decision to work through all of the emotional and physical challenges that you were faced with. It truly has turned you into a powerful being. I love my job, y'all. I love doing this because I get to interact with the most powerful people in the world. And it has nothing to do with money or position or politics or hierarchy. It is just the fact that people understand that which they are and the power of our thoughts and the power of our words and the power of love. And that's what makes us powerful. And I'm honored that you have decided to join us and share your love with us today, Tyler. I really am. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for your friendship. This has been just a joy. It really has. So
Oh, thank you.
thank
Beautiful, Loretta. You're such a eloquent speaker, such a beautiful speaker and beautiful person. And I really appreciate, I feel the same way about you, all the wisdom you have and all the help that you have to offer other people. So,
you. Thank you very much. And so thank you guys. Thank you everyone who stopped by and looked at this video. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Leave comments. If you feel compelled, reach out to Tyler. He's very accessible, y'all. He's very accessible. And until next time, we do a little heart, Tyler, at the end of the show. Until next time, we love you. Bye-bye.